Okay, so hear me out here. Borderlands, but 2 of them. Heyo, peeps. Time to continue looking at the Borderlands series. When the first one came out, it got solid reviews across the board. I liked it, and so did most people who played it. I just recently reviewed the first one as well, so I recommend you go check that out, even if just to give you a basic understanding of the game's roots. Being praised for its stylish and fun gameplay, it's no surprise that 3 years later came its sequel. Almost every single bit of the first game has been doubled down and made better. Just looking at the gameplay, you can instantly notice a massive upgrade from the first. Everything on the HUD has been overhauled and given a much smoother look. I could point at every little thing here and say better. Fonts, better. Menus, better. Overall look, better. Brick.
My siren's name is Brick, and she is the prettiest.
Ooh, better. The controls and gameplay are pretty much the same, but I'm going to use that word again. Better. 6 Vault Hunters to pick from here, with 2 being DLC. Because of that, there are lots more variety and builds on display here, with heaps of ways to experiment. While the characters in Borderlands 1 mostly had 1 or 2 builds to choose from, here, most of the characters I'd say would have about 3 or 4 to pick from. Maya, being the Siren here, can run super fast with a breakneck Banshee build, or go more of a support role with being able to revive teammates with her phase lock ability. Axton the Commando is very similar to Roland, with him having a turret, but he has a lot more options on how to use it. He can stick it to walls, make sure there are 2 of them, or just straight up make it a nuke when it gets deployed. The next 2 are definitely on the more crazy and powerful side. Zero as the number is the assassin, and with the power to go invisible, he can make it so he dashes at enemies and takes them down in 1 strike. Another build lets him throw kunai to debuff all his enemies. Finally, he has one of the most broken skills in the game, and that is Bore. If you know, you know. The 4th out of the originals is the iconic Salvador, the Gunzerker. He can dual wield any 2 weapons in the game, and because of this, he's pretty much broken. Get 2 of the right guns and you win, and with certain builds, his action skill can pretty much go on forever. Also, money shot is a thing. Again, if you know, you know. Finally, we have the 2 DLC Vaulters, Gage and Krieg. Gage is the Necromancer, who has a pet robot called Deathtrap. She has many builds involving her skill Anarchy, in which everything dies. As long as you don't reload, that's a pain in the ass. Krieg, being one of my personal favourites, is one of the badass psychos you fight throughout the series. He has a build where he goes sicko mode, blood explosion, and a whole build around fire. Leveling them all up has never been more fun than ever. Not only have the characters been changed and upgraded, the ever important weapons have too. To start with, the variety here is insane. The manufacturers of weapons have been expanded like crazy and matter more than ever. Most of the same ones are back, but with some new ones. Dahl now has their guns being burst when you ADS. The new bandit guns show off what bandits use, and they all have their own style to them, even though if they're not that good, to be honest. Speaking of not that good, TDO now have it so every time you reload the gun, you throw it. You end up wasting lots more ammo than it's worth, and they're not that powerful, but the idea of just throwing your weapon is so cool. Guns now come in the element of slag, which makes every enemy take more damage. This is pretty much needed for the endgame, if a little too much. And the legendaries here have so much personality and strength. Here they're pretty much the main focus of the game. Most of them have dedicated drops from bosses or certain enemies, so a lot of your endgame will have you farming these bosses over and over again until you can get the right weapon with the right parts. It sounds boring, but building your kit and getting your desired weapon to see what you like and what works makes Borderlands truly special. There are just so many guns to go after as well. The conference call, the bitch, the Logan's gun, and everyone's favourite, the unkempt Harold. And these are just some of the hundreds of guns you can find in this game. And it's not just weapons too. There are now legendary shields, grenades, and class mods, which opens up things even more. It's all good stuff, I tell ya, good stuff. To get to the point where you can get these elusive drops, you'll first have to go through the story, and thankfully, it slaps. Following in the footsteps of the first, there's a new vault on Pandora to open and a new big bad to go up against. Handsome Jack is one of, if not the best written characters and best villains in a game. He's funny.
Thanks, Pumpkin.
He's an asshole.
I will pay you to kill yourself. I've got a perfect spot all picked out for you.
He's egotistical.
Let me explain how things work here. The Vault Hunters show up. Vault Hunter looks for the new vault. Vault Hunter gets killed by me.
He's everything you want in a villain and so much more.
Hey, how these pretzels suck?
He's filled a much needed hole that the series had in the first game and honestly still has to this day. Here's hoping that Borderlands 4 has some mean baddies. I meant the villains. And he's not the only good thing here. The story is so much easier to take in, and that includes the side quests. You'll constantly be meeting new and old faces, discovering secrets, and answering questions that you had in the first game. The humour here also works really well, and surprisingly isn't dated.
Could I have a refund, please? This gun doesn't seem to work.
Especially seeing as how it came out in 2012, but replaying it now, it still holds up.
Herein is Scooter's poem for you, Daisy. I like you a whole lot, more than that bandit likes spooning that robot. I will hang myself from my own tombstone if within you I cannot put my bone.
Wow, this is really, could you excuse me for a second? Thanks.
So, what'd you think?
Somehow, I think Borderlands 3's story has aged worse than this, and that is pretty funny.
What up, my bandit orphans? God Queen Tyrene coming at you live from the HBC. We're streaming, you're screaming, and we're all preparing to get into the Great Vault.
If you had the handsome edition of this game, which comes with all the DLC, which you probably do, there are a heap of things for you to do after the game is finished. You can play one of the 5 big DLCs, play one of the 5 mini headhunter packs, and so much more. There are tons of raid bosses to take on here, and that never gets old. Can't talk more about the game without talking about the environment as well. Gone are the bleak and dry colours from the first, now we see all sorts of shades, weather, and different biomes. It shows a completely different side while still being located on Pandora. Some of the DLCs highlight this really well, like the Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragonkeep, which goes for more of a fantasy vibe. Now, trophies, trophies, trophies. I think personally they are tougher here, but still doable. Most of the trophies from the first one are still here, with all the level and story stuff being pretty much the same thing. You'll have to defeat the base game raid boss, which unlocks after you finish the story. This can be done pretty easy if you just go in super over leveled and are a little bit smart. Every single side quest will have to be completed here, but thankfully about 90% of them are really enjoyable to complete, and this time they feel a lot less fetch questy. Discovering all named locations here is a bit more annoying because instead of just walking into every area, you'll actually need to go into every little place and discover every little corner. I highly recommend to look some of these up because there's a lot you can miss and you don't want to be in a situation where you're stuck looking for one more area on every little map. Like the first one, there's a trophy dedicated to doing something with each of the base game Vault Hunters. Minor accidents aren't too bad, but both Zeros and Salvadors will need you to level up your character quite a bit. Thankfully, there are some new options that allow you to just start your player at level 30, so this also isn't too bad. There are 2 trophies that you'll need some RNG for that kind of suck. One of these are for killing a chubby. These are rare spawns for basic enemies that can drop some good loot, and they are found in random areas across the Borderlands. The next is for finding a rare NPC spawn in Sanctuary. He has a lot of spawns, but most of the time he just flat out won't be there, so you need to do a lot of saving and quitting. Finally, probably the most annoying trophy in the game, and that's to finish tier 1 of every base game challenge. This equals to pretty much doing a lot of miscellaneous tasks. Some of these you'll need a second controller or a friend, and some of these you'll actually need to get to level 5 to unlock even more challenges. They're really annoying, but if you keep in mind some of the harder ones while playing the game, it shouldn't be too bad. Finally, with the DLCs, you'll have to do all the side quests for them and then kill all their raid bosses. Now, this game in my mind is close to a masterpiece. Close, but not quite there. The gameplay itself I think is great, don't get me wrong. But now that we've seen Borderlands 3, I think a 9 is the right spot to put it. Also, if you want to go all the way to the end game, you won't be having a lot of fun because OP10 is not balanced and most of it's impossible if you aren't playing Salvador. The plat is a 7 out of 10. Not much I can say here besides it's pretty good. And the difficulty I would say is about a 5 out of 10. Not so bad. And that's it. Time to play pre-sequel. Oh god, I almost forgot to mention one thing. Hey Tannis!